Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's deep dive into one of television's most iconic and controversial evolutions. I'm your host, coming to you live with a sensational expose that peels back the curtain on the creative genius behind one of the most beloved sitcoms of our time, The Big Bang Theory. In a bombshell revelation that has sent shockwaves through Hollywood and ignited fierce debates among fans and critics alike, co-creator Chuck Lorre has admitted that Kaley Cuoco's character, Penny, was originally conceived as nothing more than a cliched dumb blonde. That's right, early on in the series, Penny was portrayed as one-dimensional and shallow, a caricature that failed to capture the rich, multifaceted personality that eventually won the hearts of millions. Tonight we journey back to those formative moments, uncovering how Penny's evolution from stereotype to a beacon of humanity and emotional depth not only transformed the show's dynamic, but also redefined the way we think about women in television. A candid chat on the official Big Bang Theory podcast, Chuck Lorre revealed that the character of Penny took several seasons to fully develop. It's a cliched character, the dumb blonde, and we missed it, Lorre confessed, acknowledging that the early portrayal of Penny was steeped in outdated tropes. But as time went on, something remarkable happened. The role evolved from a mere archetype into a critical narrative force, one that brought a unique form of intelligence about people, relationships, and family into the lives of the socially awkward geniuses we've come to know as Sheldon Cooper and Leonard Hofstadter. Today, we're going to explore every twist and turn in Penny's fascinating transformation, examining the behind-the-scenes decisions, the creative challenges, and the cultural impact of a character who started out as a stereotype and grew into a symbol of emotional insight and humanity. We'll also delve into the fascinating story of how Kaley Cuoco's casting, the infamous Do-Over pilot, and the original vision featuring two other female leads paved the way for the unexpected magic that would eventually redefine the character. So buckle up, folks, as we embark on this sensational journey through the evolution of one of television's most debated characters. From the moment The Big Bang Theory first graced our screens, it was clear that the show was going to be a collision of brilliant scientific minds, quirky humor, and unexpected relationships. Yet, in its earliest incarnations, one of its central characters was nothing more than a by-the-numbers stereotype, a dumb blonde whose sole purpose was to act as a foil for the brilliance of the male scientists. In those early seasons, Penny's character was painted with a broad brush, her personality reduced to a series of predictable cliches. But as the series progressed, the audience witnessed an evolution that not only subverted expectations, but also enriched the show's narrative with warmth, wit, and genuine emotional resonance. Chuck Lorre's comments on the podcast reveal his fascinating creative process. Initially, Penny was simply a placeholder, a character meant to provide comic relief and contrast to the socially inept scientists. Lorre admitted that he missed the deeper potential of the character, and it took several seasons for him and the entire creative team to realize that Penny's true value lay in the unique perspective she brought into a world dominated by theoretical physicists and astrophysicists. Unlike the other characters, who were defined by their academic brilliance and idiosyncrasies, Penny represented something entirely different, a raw, unfiltered look at life, love, and the intricacies of human interaction. This evolution wasn't an overnight transformation. It was a gradual process fueled by long hours in the writer's room, endless debates over dialogue, and a willingness to take risks that defied conventional sitcom tropes. Initially, Penny's role was limited to a superficial function. She was there to provide a contrast to the geeky heroes of the show. But as the series progressed, the character began to take on a life of her own. Her interactions with Sheldon, Leonard, and the rest of the gang opened up new dimensions of humor and vulnerability, adding layers of complexity that audiences could not help but fall in love with. The turning point came when the creative team, led by Chuck Lorre himself, decided to give Penny more screen time and a more nuanced personality. Rather than being a flat, one-dimensional archetype, she slowly started to embody a kind of street-smart wisdom and emotional intelligence that was previously absent. Lorre noted that what made Penny so effective in later seasons was her ability to bring a humanity to the show, a quality that contrasted sharply with the cold, analytical minds of the scientists. In essence, Penny became the heart. One of the most intriguing aspects of this evolution is how Penny's dynamic with the other characters, particularly Sheldon and Leonard, shifted over time. Initially, her role was to be the other in a world of intellectual giants, a token representation of conventional wisdom amid the quirkiness of academia. But as her character deepened, so did the relationships she forged with the men in her life. Her rapport with Sheldon Cooper, played to perfection by Jim Parsons, is legendary. Sheldon, with his rigid adherence to logic and his inability to understand the subtleties of human emotion, found in Penny a mirror that challenged his worldview. Their interactions were a delicate dance of miscommunication, unexpected empathy, and humorous confrontations that gradually unveiled the underlying layers of both characters. Leonard Hofstadter, portrayed by Johnny Galecki, experienced a similar transformation in his dynamic with Penny. Initially cast as the perpetually infatuated neighbor, Leonard's character was often overshadowed by his intellectual pursuits and insecurities. However, Penny's presence brought an element of spontaneity and genuine warmth to his life, a spark that allowed him to step outside the confines of his academic shell. As the series progressed, the relationship between Leonard and Penny evolved, from mere physical attraction to a deep, abiding love rooted in mutual respect and understanding. Their journey was fraught with ups and downs, misunderstandings, and reconciliations, and ultimately, it became one of television's most beloved romances. Now, let's delve into the backstory that set the stage for Penny's remarkable transformation. Originally, The Big Bang Theory was envisioned with a very different female lineup. In the initial unaired pilot, two other female leads, Gilda, played by Iris Barr, and Katie, portrayed by Amanda Walsh, were at the forefront. In that early version, the dynamic was markedly different. The focus was more on the scientific brilliance of the male characters, with the female roles serving merely as peripheral supporting parts. However, it quickly became apparent that something was missing. The creative team realized that in order to truly capture the essence of what made the show unique, they needed a character who could act as a bridge between the sterile world of equations and the unpredictable realm of human relationships. Enter Kaley Cuoco's Penny, a role that would eventually redefine the entire series. When Lorre penned a do-over pilot, he reimagined the female lead in a way that broke free from the confines of the stereotypical dumb blonde mold. It wasn't an immediate transformation, it was a gradual unveiling of layers that even the writers hadn't fully anticipated. In the early seasons, Penny's portrayal was still influenced by the old stereotypes, but even then there were hints of the depth that would eventually emerge. Lorre admitted that it took several seasons to fully harness the unique intelligence that Penny brought to the narrative, a kind of intuitive understanding of people and relationships that the other characters, in all their scientific glory, simply lacked. As the seasons wore on, the chemistry between Penny and the other main characters grew increasingly complex and nuanced. In particular, the relationship between Penny and Sheldon became a focal point of the show. Sheldon, with his hyperlogical approach to life, was a character defined by his inability to grasp the subtleties of human emotion. Yet, when he interacted with Penny, there was an undeniable spark, a collision of worlds that resulted in some of the most memorable and heartfelt moments in television history. Penny's down-to-earth wisdom and emotional intelligence provided a counterbalance to Sheldon's eccentricities, and in doing so, she not only enriched his character but also helped the audience see him in a more sympathetic light. The transformation of Penny's character also had a profound impact on the overall tone of The Big Bang Theory. What began as a show centered on the peculiarities of academic life gradually evolved into a rich tapestry of human relationships, emotional growth, and personal transformation. The early cliched portrayal of Penny eventually gave way to a character of surprising depth, a woman who, despite her initial simplicity, came to embody a kind of unspoken brilliance that was as captivating as it was unexpected. In retrospect, it's clear that the creative risks taken by Chuck Lorre and his team paid off in spades. Penny's evolution not only revitalized the show, but also helped redefine the role of women in sitcoms, challenging the notion that female characters must conform to narrow, one-dimensional stereotypes. Penny, with some arguing that the show relied too heavily on tired tropes and predictable humor. But as the series progressed, the transformation of Penny's character became a case study in how television can evolve, how a show can listen to its audience, re-examine its narrative priorities, and ultimately redefine its identity. Lorre's candid admission on the podcast was a moment of rare honesty in an industry that often shies away from self-criticism. By acknowledging that Penny was sadly one-dimensional in many ways at first, he not only demonstrated a willingness to learn from past mistakes, but also highlighted the creative potential that comes from embracing change. Beyond the creative process itself, Penny's transformation also had significant cultural ramifications. In a media landscape where female characters are too often reduced to mere props or punchlines, Penny's evolution stood as a powerful testament to the importance of complex, multifaceted representation. Her journey from a cliched, dumb blonde to a character with a deep emotional core resonated with viewers from all walks of life. For many, Penny became a symbol of growth, a reminder that no one is defined by a single stereotype, and that true brilliance can emerge when we allow ourselves the time and space to evolve. This transformation wasn't just a triumph for the Big Bang Theory. It was a watershed moment in television history. By breaking free from the constraints of outdated character archetypes, the show not only set a new standard for ensemble comedies, but also paved the way for future narratives that dared to challenge conventional wisdom. The impact of this shift rippled far beyond the confines of the small screen, influencing everything from casting decisions to the way audiences think about gender and intelligence in popular culture. As we examine the cultural impact of Penny's evolution, it's impossible not to consider the broader implications for the television industry. For years, critics have decried the over-reliance on simplistic characterizations and shallow humor in many mainstream sitcoms. Yet, The Big Bang Theory managed to rise above this criticism by taking a bold, self-reflective look at its own shortcomings, and in doing so, it set an example for others to follow. The willingness to acknowledge past mistakes and to invest in character development over time is a testament to the power of thoughtful storytelling. It's a reminder that even in a genre often dismissed as lightweight entertainment, there is room for complexity, growth, and genuine emotional resonance. Let's also take a moment to reflect on the remarkable performance of Kaley Cuoco, whose portrayal of Penny evolved in tandem with the character's growing complexity. Cuoco's performance was not simply a product of good luck or favorable writing, it was a masterclass in acting that balanced humor, vulnerability, and strength in equal measure. From the early days when Penny was little more than a caricature, to the later seasons where she became a fully realized human being, Cuoco's portrayal was central to the show's success. Her ability to convey both the comic and the tragic, the light and the dark, made Penny a character that viewers could relate to, cheer for, and even cry over. Moreover, the dynamic between Penny and the other members of the cast provided fertile ground for some of the most memorable moments in television comedy. Whether it was the hilarious banter with Sheldon, the tender moments with Leonard, or the playful jabs exchanged with the rest of the gang, Penny's interactions served as a reminder that true comedy often lies at the intersection of intellect and emotion. Her journey was a microcosm of the broader themes of The Big Bang Theory, the exploration of human connection, the collision of vastly different worlds, and the realization that true wisdom often comes from the most unexpected places. As we continue to celebrate the legacy of The Big Bang Theory, it's worth pondering the lessons that can be learned from Penny's transformation. In many ways, her evolution is a metaphor for the human experience itself, a reminder that growth is a process, that change is inevitable, and that the most profound insights often emerge when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. In an era when media is frequently criticized for its superficiality and reliance on stereotypes, Penny stands out as a beacon of hope, a symbol of what can be achieved when we dare to look beyond the obvious and embrace the full spectrum of human experience. It's also fascinating to consider the behind-the-scenes decisions that led to this remarkable character arc. The fact that the original pilot featured two entirely different female leads underscores the challenges faced by creators in capturing the right balance of humor and heart. In scrapping the original vision and reimagining the character of Penny, Chuck Lorre and his team demonstrated a willingness to take risks, an acknowledgement that sometimes the best stories are those that evolve organically over time. This creative pivot not only saved the show from mediocrity, but also paved the way for a narrative that has resonated with millions of viewers around the world. In the broader context of television history, Penny's evolution can be seen as part of a larger trend towards more nuanced and realistic portrayals of women on screen. Gone are the days when female characters were relegated to mere supporting roles or defined solely by their relationships to men. Today, audiences demand and deserve complex, multifaceted portrayals that reflect the richness of real life. The Big Bang Theory may have started with a cliched character, but it ultimately transcended that limitation to create a heroine whose journey is as inspiring as it is entertaining. As we look back on the legacy of The Big Bang Theory, it's impossible not to acknowledge the cultural impact that Penny's transformation has had on the way we think about gender and identity in media. The character's evolution has sparked countless debates, inspired academic analyses, and even influenced the way new television shows approach character development. In a landscape where the pressure to conform to outdated stereotypes remains ever present, Penny's story serves as a powerful reminder that true innovation often comes from challenging the status quo. And so, dear viewers, as we wrap up tonight's in-depth exploration of Penny's journey from a cliched dumb blonde to a nuanced, empathetic, and irreplaceable character, we are left with a sense of wonder and admiration for the creative process that made it all possible. Chuck Lorre's candid reflections on the early shortcomings of the character and his willingness to admit that we missed it at first are a testament to the power of self-reflection and artistic evolution. They remind us that even in the world of scripted television, there is room for growth, reinvention, and the pursuit of excellence. In the end, Penny's story is more than just a narrative about one character on a hit sitcom. It is a celebration of the human capacity for change. It is a reminder that behind every stereotype lies the potential for complexity, that behind every cliched role lies the possibility of greatness, and that sometimes the most profound wisdom comes from the most unexpected sources. For those of us who have laughed, cried, and cheered along with the characters of The Big Bang Theory, Penny's evolution is a triumph not just for the show, but for television as a whole. As we close tonight's broadcast, we invite you to reflect on the journey we've witnessed, a journey marked by creative risks, bold reinventions, and the timeless quest to capture the essence of what makes us human. From the spark of an idea in a writer's room to the unforgettable moments that have defined an era of television, Penny's story is a testament to the power of art, perseverance, and the unyielding desire to tell stories that matter. Thank you for joining us on this sensational exploration of one of TV's most compelling character evolutions. Stay tuned for more in-depth analyses, behind-the-scenes revelations, and all the latest news from the world of entertainment. Remember, in the grand theater of television, every character has a story, and sometimes it takes a cliched beginning to blossom into something truly extraordinary. If you like this news and want more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with all your friends. Until next time, Sensationalist family.